117, 111. The Kings squeak out a victory tonight at the Golden One Center. I'm your host, Leo Biaz. It's been a while, and there's a lot of reasons for that, but we'll save that towards the end of the show. I got my boy, my man, my brother, Vince Miracle, the co host, to break it all down and talk about some of the bets. If you guys haven't checked out the betting series every single day, mostly every single day, you guys got to check it out because Vince is on fire right now, and he, even though he squeaked by some games today, that's all that matters is the W, and he squeaked by with a half a point win at 5.5 for the Kings tonight. Vince, how you feeling, man?
Look, man, one man said it best before. It don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile.
Facts.
Winning's winning. and yeah, man, it's been a great run. Today we had a nice gentleman's sweep after the last show that we did. We had a down day after going, I believe we were 23-11 heading into that day right before the
Yep.
Christmas break. And now today we hit 6 out of 7 games. And what our first 3 unit bet of the series, NBA best bets, guys. You guys got to subscribe for our show. I mean, like I said, I try and do it Monday through Friday. Obviously, with the holiday season that
Yep.
came up, we didn't do any shows. And then with New Year's, same thing. Probably won't have a show on Friday. And then obviously we don't do Saturday, Sunday. And then January 5th just so happens to be my birthday, so I'll probably be off air for that one as well. But other than that, man, Monday through Friday, NBA best bets, going down all the NBA lines. And, if Leo's okay with it, and if you guys continue to like and subscribe to that show, then, we'll mix in some MMA because I do MMA picks and I also do a little bit of NFL. So we'll see how it goes.
Love it. January 5th. Put that on the calendar, man. It's going to be a winning day that day on his birthday. The worst thing you can do
Hey,
is lose on your birthday, so let's hope
yeah,
that doesn't happen, man. 117, 111. The Kings barely squeak out a victory. I was talking to Vince earlier before we got on air, actually about 3 hours before the game, but we talked about the Rockets game, which was, we had us sweating. But this game, I said, I've been very successful betting the Kings in play, right? Not before a game. And I said, I either bet the Kings when they're plus 7.5 or above, or I take the other side, which is plus 10.5 and above. And that is literally what could have happened today, when the Thunder, with 5 minutes left, they were like plus 14, plus 15, and then boom, they go on the run, and the Kings just don't know how to close out games, man. And it had everybody who took the initial spread sweating. So if you guys want value, I would say wait a little bit, fill out the game. And knowing the tendencies of this team, which is why I've been successful the past, I would say, 3 weeks, you just got to hit that and just have those numbers in mind when you're betting the Kings, because they're just so inconsistent. Vince, tonight Marvin Bagley got the start, played 28 minutes, 9 points, 10 rebounds, pretty much a double double. What did you think about his performance?
about who I couldn't hear what you said on that. Who you
About
asking
Marvin
about?
Bagley?
Oh, hey, he had a really good game. He played 28 minutes. He's making the most of these minutes, and he's playing within his role of the offense. He's continuing to look good. I think he's really humbled himself in terms of the role that he plays, and you have to applaud him for it, man. Nine points, 10 rebounds. Like I said, in 28 minutes, it was a little poor shooting, 3 of 9. But hey, he got the job done, and that's all that really matters, right? You wanted someone that was going to be out there and grabbing rebounds and hustling, and like I said, he's been playing his role to a T. He's been fighting for his minutes because guys like Damon Jones have been taking over a lot of those minutes as well, and as well as Metu. But it looks like the Kings are going in a different direction in terms of what they're doing with their rotation. And I think we really started seeing it with Doug Christie, and I think Alvin Gentry liked it, which is not one person is going to see a large amount of minutes or a large chunk of minutes at one time. He's going to use the entire bench. He's going to use everything there because this team isn't good enough to rely on one group of people. It's going to take the whole entire team to get wins, and I think that they're finally starting to realize that.
Yeah, I had Ty at the game tonight as a fan, and I don't know why I'm hearing myself as an echo. Let me know if you guys hear me.
I do hear you. I hear you.
Okay. I wonder
I can.
why.
Do you have your output on the Ecamm?
Huh. Let me see real fast. Tell me why. System preferences. Technical difficulties, real quick. Output, headphones, input, internal mic. Oh, can you hear me now?
Yep, I can hear you. I don't hear any more echoes.
Echo, echo. I can
Nope.
hear the echo.
Test. Oh, I don't hear it anymore.
Hmm.
Let's see. Let me look at these questions while
Output,
you're doing
output.
that. Bagley, okay, but not a 3-point shooter. I mean, we've always known that, buddy. We've always known that. Poor 3-point shooting. Bagley, Metu, and Fox. None of those guys are true 3-point shooters, so not too surprising there. He is going to be good if the expectations are 10 points. Exactly, exactly. Best impact. You said it best right there about Bagley. If his expectation is 10, 12, max 15 points per game. But really, I think the main focus is going to be his rebounding. Like, just have, and to stay with King's idea, like, have that Scott Pollard type of role. Like that's something you would love to see on this team. Just come in there, be the energy guy, grab a ton of rebounds, find your role within the team, and at times you're going to find your shots, and at other times we're just going to need you to be able to grab boards. And today he was able to grab 10 rebounds and make a nice little impact. So that was solid.
He's going to be good if the expectations are 10 points.
I mean, yeah, man, that's
Yeah,
it. That's his
facts,
role. That's his
facts.
role.
I just
Um,
hope a lot of people can just listen to Best Impact. His name is great. That is an impactful comment. So shout out to you, Best Impact. Those are great expectations because that's what a lot of us should expect. I'm still expecting 8 to 9 points. And going back to my point, I can still hear myself. Whatever though. Going back to my point about Ty, he was like, and he has a bunch of video, but he was like, why the hell are the Kings running specific ISOs for Marvin Bagley? And I was like, dude, they've been doing that for about 8, 9 times this game. I understand it. They're playing a very bad Oklahoma City team.
were
And
they running those offense for him, or was he calling
yes,
his own number? Like it kind of seemed like a lot of the times, like especially when he caught the ball in the third, and Tyrese gave him on the left corner, and he would just like hold the ball for a second, dribble to the middle, give it back to Haliburton, and then he would go right back to the left, and then there was no other options. They were waiting for a screen, but he kept calling for the ball, and then he would either shoot it or do his normal. Like he's as much as we want to praise him for how good he's been, and he has been playing better in his role.
mm,
I'm not trying to hate on him. It's just his offense is still so one dimensional to me that Bagley is he's just a good role player right now, like or he's just a role player right now, which is fine. Just play your role.
yeah. And I was telling Ty, I don't know why they keep doing that. Well, two-edged sword, right? I do know why, because they're trying to build up his confidence and build up his trade value. Because right now it's still very low league-wide. But that's one part, and then the other part is okay. You're going up against smaller guys. Take advantage of your size. He's still, as you said, very robotic when he makes his moves in the post. He does nothing special, but if he can just play within the flow of the offense, and hopefully they don't do that against good teams. Today they got away with it. There's a couple of bunnies that he missed, and obviously he made some because, I mean, the guy that was guarding him was like 4 inches shorter than him. So I hope he can rise over the guy and use his left hand, which it was good that they set him up with this strong hand, right, going left, and then with this little power move, jump stop, hook shot. So that's what I like, that they at least put him in the right situations to succeed, which is going left. Because if you put him on the other block going right, he's going to get batted because he brings the ball too low and it's easy for a guard to swipe down at it. And he had about two of those today. But he did grab the ball on one of them, and I think Alvin was super angry that he thought that the shot clock should have reset it. But, it is what it is. That's what I thought about Bagley's game tonight. He gets to start, again, 28 minutes, 3 of 9, 0 of 3 from beyond the arc, 10 boards, 9 points. Harrison Barnes, 32 minutes, 5 of 11, 5 of 9 from beyond the arc. Pretty good. That's above 50%. 4 rebounds, 17 points. Mr. Consistent. Well, for the most part, he hasn't been what he was after that injury, but tonight, those are Harrison Barnes type numbers. What did you think about his game tonight?
I mean, he was being aggressive from the 3 point line. The shot was falling. He just needs to stay consistent, man. I really believe that Harrison Barnes just needs to be in attack mode, and there's just been so much up and down on this roster since he got injured, since the COVID protocol situation, that he's kind of lost where he is. And now how they're doing their rotation, like I said, it's going to be the next man up mentality so far. I think they're finally starting to realize they don't have a certain group that is a win group, like where all these guys are going to get a large chunk of the minutes, and they only have like 3 or 4 other guys that are coming off the bench. It's everyone, and whoever is hot is going to stay in the game. I mean, Terrence Davis getting an extended run of minutes over this recent span of games, like seeing 20 consecutive minutes. I think to me, it's just Barnes needs to stay aggressive. I want to see Holmes continue to stay aggressive. I feel like he's been kind of a up and down. I mean, he had 9.6 rebounds. He's just been a mess since coming back from that eye laceration. So, but it was nice to see Barnes. I think he's going to build confidence back to what he was.
Yeah, it's crazy with Rashawn because we had this prop bet, right? What was it, 10 rebounds or 11 rebounds?
Yeah, 11.5 rebounds.
Yeah, he wasn't even close to that. I was like, yeah, it's going to be over. He's going to take advantage. He did not do that today.
Yeah.
And then we had the over on Fox too, right? At 19 and big under, just disappointing game. 4-17 from the field, 0-3 from beyond the arc. 8 assists though, which is a good thing. And 5 rebounds, it's always good. I would say 5 rebounds is pretty standard now for guards at his size, so not bad there.
Were you impressed by this team today, or do you? I mean, I get they won by 6, but they still gave up 111 points to a team that's hit with COVID protocols moments before the hours before the game even tipped off. They didn't even know what it was like.
And one of the worst offensive teams just from every aspect of the game, too. So, yeah, I was impressed with their second half defense, at least when that bench came in and weathered the storm in terms of, here we go. It's another third quarter collapse. And the bench came in with TD. They started attacking the rim. They played very good, solid half court defense on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and we saw a better result. They won the third quarter by 2, which I had them winning -1.5, so I hit that. I hit the second quarter as well. I didn't touch the last game because I had the Nuggets -2.5, and they covered by half a point. So I had a rough start in terms of bets, but I ended up on the nice 3-game winning streak there. But to your point, yes, the Kings finished. I would say they played good defense, but then, as always, their late game execution has been atrocious. Nothing changed today. I told you before the game, I can't trust this team to close out games. Yes, they may win the game, and they did win the game, but it's not so much the result, but the process and how that happened. So, yeah, it was tough because I had to change my title. At first, it was the same one that I had now. I was like, they're barely going to win this game. And then I'm like, okay, the Kings won with winning defense. And now I'm like, damn, I have to change that again because, I like to anticipate and guess some of these headlines. And be like, you put the title that the Kings – I mean, obviously, I always knew that they were going to win the game, but I didn't know how they were going to win the game. And they ended up going with the initial gut, which was barely squeaking out with the victory against a very bad Oklahoma City Thunder team. But a very good Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, man. That kid is so good, and he's only going to get better.
I got more questions for you. Hold on, because we can go down the stat sheet.
Real quick, though, we'll go down the stat sheet and then address the big elephant in the room, which was what that comment surfacing all over social media, and I'll put a picture of it too that I saw on Facebook. That's where I saw it. I don't know if I would really want to. I know a lot of that whole situation,
Talking about Buddy.
No, just the whole Fox not talking to people in the locker room and Buddy blah blah blah, and like this whole message that I think it was a Reddit person, and it just caught fire on social media. But we'll address that in a little bit. But let's just keep going down. De'Aaron Fox went over that. Tyrese Haliburton, 33 minutes today, 9 of 14, 5 of 8 from beyond the arc, 10 assists. Another 20 and 10 type game, 24 and 10, man. He's looking good. He's feeling good. He's feeling himself. He's playing better. Your thoughts on his game right now?
I mean, like I said, my biggest takeaway from this game is just that they got by, And I think that about every single one on this roster. That's why I was going to ask you some more questions about. I wasn't even going to bring up the Reddit
Mm.
stuff or the text message. I mean, because for me, you can look at the box score and you can say, oh, Tyrese, another really good game at 24 and 10. Fox, doing what he needed to do, getting 12 and 8. But again, I feel like the continuous conversation of we need a leader. We don't need someone to speak for us. The coach shouldn't be the guy. Like, I mean, these are subtle shots at certain people in that locker room. So my question wasn't even going to be about this stat sheet, because to me, it was a mediocre performance, and they got to be a team that's below them in terms of talent, just because SGA was probably arguably the best player in terms of pure talent on the floor tonight, right? Everywhere else, the Kings had the overall better talent at every other position, and you can go back and forth if you guys are truly thinking of either the newly crowned Tyrese Haliburton, the king of Sacramento, or De'Aaron Fox, the one that was the star last season. Like, you can put any one of those two as who's better between him and SGA. But to me, the entire Kings was a mediocre performance. This team should have never even been this close, and that's why I was gonna ask you. Like, do you think that this team gets better once they are, I guess, back? Like, once we start seeing a Rashawn Holmes back to normal, a Harrison Barnes back to normal, a Davion Mitchell back
Who
into the
should be back tomorrow,
rotation.
by the way.
Like, is that gonna make them better? Or, hey man, February's around the corner, 2022 is around the corner, trade deadline's around the corner. Is it something else now? So that's all I'm wondering.
Yeah, I pulled up the picture. We'll talk about it. Is there? Let me see. Let me see the final box score. Is there anybody else that stood out to you tonight? I thought Damian Jones in 23 minutes gave this team a nice little lift. He actually hit the double digit rebound, right, with 14 boards, 9 points. Very efficient game for Damian Jones. He continues to show why he should be the primary backup every single game, unless he's in foul trouble, and then you can put in an Alex Len or a Tristan Thompson. But it's always been Damian Jones. Both of you and I have been saying that since the very beginning of the season, and he's now starting to show why he should be the primary backup to Rashawn Holmes.
Yeah, he's athletic. He's willing to be a bowling ball down there, but at a bigger size. I believe he actually has a better mid range jumper, and I just believe he has better control over his body and the basketball when he comes down with the rebound. Like, with Tristan Thompson, he does that bowling ball thing with his body as well, but he's an undersized big, and on top of that, he doesn't have good, like, ball handling skills. Like, he always loses the ball when he's trying to do a gather, like a dribble pickup gather. Like, he's just not good at it. Where I feel
Hmm.
like Damian Jones just has that. Maybe it's just because he's young, and it's just more of like a instant reaction for him. I couldn't really tell you, but it's obvious to me that Damian Jones is a better quote unquote wrecking ball backup
Mm,
big than Tristan Thompson, and I just love how athletic he is, and that he's actually a proper big to be the backup.
correct. That's going to do it, with y'all, in terms of this game. I know a lot of you guys are here to hear about the thoughts, the juicy thoughts about what we saw earlier. But before we do, man, shout out to Medici Sacramento, because today we saw Mark Jones give him a shout out. And it was cool to see that, because he shows love to the local businesses and a lot of people watching the games. Hopefully they got Medici some recognition, because it's awesome pizza and you guys should definitely check them out. And we appreciate the love and support for the Cowbell Kingdom platform. But let's get to this comment, man. And let me see. It's not this comment. It's this comment right here. And it's a speculation on the state of the locker room, is what this guy put. He
Is there a name for this guy, or is it just
this
Yorgos
this this guy,
Papagiannis?
yeah, that's his name
Reddit name.
on Reddit name. It's UVSPN, and he said pretty much, was chatting with my cousin tonight. It was one of the Kings. I don't know what that says because he crossed it out. Couple of things he told me. Quote, he said that Fox has been completely detached all year, even in the locker room. Said in previous years he'd always be joking with guys, having a good time, etc. Now he just sits on his phone in the corner and the team kind of just ignores him. Doesn't talk to anyone, just showers and dips after every game. Now, as many people know, with COVID and all the protocols, we are no longer allowed to be inside the locker room as we have been in forever, right? Previous 7 years for me. So I can't speak on that, but let's move. Let's move on. And then it says, Buddy openly tells him all the time how much he hates Sack and doesn't give a shit about anything, just waiting to be traded and going through the motions as if it wasn't apparent. I'll get to that in a little bit. And then Gentry is already at wit's end with how little effort everyone gives, and he gets a sense he will step down soon. No surprises on any fronts, but just a thought I'd share. Wow. There's a lot to unravel there. I don't know in what direction I want to head in, only because I don't want to burn any bridges.
Let's just start from the top and make our way down. Let's start with that first one.
Okay, so oh man, I don't even know if I want to speak on this because I do know some of this, and it's just like, am I gonna wait until a trade happens? Not saying the trade's gonna happen. I hope there's a trade in the works, but I might have to say that for a little later. But just yeah, being in the locker room, you do get to see interactions with guys, and quote unquote called like, oh, does this guy have a good relationship? Is there a good vibe? Like all those things, we can no longer really see those things because now it's secondhand information. Oh, this guy said this guy said this. How much validity is there to whatever the secondhand information is, right? Because you're not there. So it's really hard to speak on that. But in terms of Fox saying that he sits on his phone in the corner, I'm going to assume and say this. When you've lost so much and when you consistently see fans ridicule you and destroy you, it's kind of hard not to envision him being upset after every game and seeing that the biggest blame goes to him and just feeling all that pressure on his shoulders. So to some extent, if I had to assume it, it makes sense that he sits there just awkwardly not saying nothing because he sees, like, players can say whatever they want in terms of, oh, I don't care what people... Dude, you care what people say because at the end of the day, you're a human being. So I think there is some validity there.
From? Where did he say the information come from?
His cousin is... I guess he works for the Kings.
So...
But he crossed out that specific part, which again, like, this is secondhand information. We're just speculating here. This is all just juicy talk, like.
That's what I'm gonna say. Like, do you think it's also just because Fox is also one of those people. He's like open about like how he's a more to himself type of person. Like, he'd rather be at home playing video games or being in the gym working out. Like, he's never been like a super outgoing. Maybe in his first year when he was here, I remember he was like on Twitter a lot, like, "Hey, where's the nearest 4th of July barbecue?" But he's always been like a self person. The only reason why I bring this up is because when we go to this next one, I don't want. I know you have close connections with people that we're about to talk about, so I don't want us to go deep diving into something that seems like just a pure Reddit that anybody could have just went online and be like, oh yeah, I got a text message from this guy. Could be in Boston and be like, hey bro, I work here as a popcorn stand guy, and I was told this by this, and you can just tell by what, you know what I mean? So
yeah. So does it make sense in what I said though? Like, just assuming, like, if we had to assume on that, it's kind of like me, like even at the pickup game, I'm upset that we lost, and I kind of don't want to talk to nobody. So I see the connection that maybe he could be making this shit up, but it kind of makes sense just from a humanistic perspective. Like, if you're upset, Fox ain't the type of guy to be yelling at everybody, right? Like, we know that for sure. Like, he's not that dude. He's more of a quiet type leader. So I don't expect him to be DeMarcus and just yell at everybody like, you effing suck, or you, like, I could see him just in the corner.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's also like another thing that brings up all this conversation and why people are gonna like feed into that whole narrative of like, oh, he's in his phone, he doesn't talk to anybody, he's all to himself, and like you can kind of believe it, right? Like you said, if you're on a losing streak, or for example, if you play anything competitive and you lose, it's like I don't like. Let's say for example, when I play in the league that I'm in. When
Yeah.
I lose, bro, I'm mad. I just pack up my stuff and I roll out. Like I don't talk. I don't like to BS, and
That's what I'm saying.
I literally hate losing. It's one of my
Yes.
biggest
Right. Me
things
too.
about it, right? So I get that. I 100% understand that. But like we're also not in there to like fully comment so because of COVID. So to hear that come out, I just feel like that's
Hmm.
a little different. But what I was going to in the beginning of this is that narrative that keeps being brought out of every press conference and every quote that everyone keeps going with of this team needs someone that's a more vocal leader,
Right.
or you know what I mean, or we need someone that is more action rather than anything else. I feel like that's feeding into, oh, he's on his phone and he should be the leader, he should be the
Yeah.
guy. So
That too.
it's just building and building and building, where again guys, like no one gets to go in there anymore because of COVID, and who knows what impact they have from being isolated through COVID and having that COVID-19 and having to sit in a room in isolation. You know what I mean? Like it makes people become something a little different sometimes, you know what I mean? So I don't know. I don't want to read too much into it, but I do see how people would love this just because there is just such a big narrative of who is the leader of this team, and Fox being such a big part of this team, considered the franchise centerpiece, and his biggest flaw has always been, you know, is he really a leader? But what's funny is when he
Yes.
first came out, everyone thought he was. That's what blows my mind.
Yeah, like he was talkative, he was this, he was that. And
He was
again,
a
he's a
scream.
great speaker. Like he's a great public speaker. He speaks very well, great kid. And this is a great point with RP. He says COVID is crazy. I know people doubt its impact on people, but it does some serious damage mentally and physically. If Fox is an introvert before, he's probably even more so now after COVID. And as we all know, Fox, this is his second time getting COVID.
Yeah, he just came out of protocols. This is only his second game back.
So I do see something to this dude, like either making this up or again, he says his cousin potentially works there, but he crossed that part out, so there isn't like a name we can attach to this. But regardless, it's juicy talk, right? We all want to talk about it. We all want to speculate. It's just it's normal for us to want to talk about it, and I know people were asking me about it. So this is us addressing it part by part. So yeah, I do see that, but there has been stuff that has been told to me, like off the record. So, like, not about this specifically, but about this a while back, so if that makes any sense. But let's just address the second part, which is the buddy openly tells him that he hates Zach and doesn't give a crap about anything, just wanting to get traded, and going through the motions as if he wasn't already, as if it wasn't apparent. So he definitely uh, wants to get traded. I don't think that's a secret. Just looking at everything with context,
I feel
he
like it's
didn't
even been reported that
he
he's
he
been
didn't
wanting out.
have a great relationship with Luke Walton, first and foremost, right? So that really tarnished his his tenure here, his relationship here. The whole Vladi Divac and Peja Stojakovic, you know, him at the thing before the season starts, right, with the fans, which is like the fan fest, him throwing up the money sign and him asking for the money, and then pretty much the front office not believing he was worth 100 million plus. He still got 86 with incentives, but those incentives will never get reached because the Kings, you know, it was all team based anyway. Like it wasn't individual based. So he's not gonna reach the 90 plus in his contract. So just say 86, right? Like 22, 23 per season. So that was on a rocky relationship there, which was with Peja and with Vladi. And what Buddy didn't understand was like, okay, Peja, you made your money off of being a shooter, right? Why don't you believe? So it was more like them not believing in him, I would say, because he was coming off his best season ever, right? Which was under Dave Yeager. So I think the front office wanted to see more. And at that time, Bagley was drafted, so they were kind of, trying to, map out what they wanted to do in terms of a max contract. Bogey's contract was coming up. Buddy's contract was coming up. So they were really trying to really set this 3 to 5 year plan, and then for them to have some flexibility, because again, remember, it was a young super team. So I think that's where the miscommunication was with both the front office and Buddy Hield. It was just them understanding that theoretically Bagley was supposed to be another max player for that second slot, right, which was with De'Aaron Fox. So they only had X amount of money to spread out. And this is good information I'm giving you guys, by the way. So I hope this makes sense. So I think that's where the disconnect was with Buddy in the front office. So that was one strike there in Buddy's mind, that the front office didn't believe in him, and it took too long to negotiate, and he didn't get his, the number he thought he deserved. Whether you guys like it or not, shooters and players should always think they're worth X amount, because that's how they got to the NBA, being extremely confident in themselves, and whatever they get, which like whatever the final number is, that's really up to their agents and the front office negotiating that. So that was one. The whole Luke Walton thing was definitely a big hindrance in this whole tenure, and how it really just, got him off track in terms of career highs, and his game took a huge step backwards, especially when he was getting benched in the fourth quarter, and then Luke telling them, you're one of the best players on this team. But the message was, he was telling them something and he was doing something different on the court. So the communication and the trust was broken there. So we understand that part, right? So yes, there is and again, Buddy isn't a victim. And I want you guys to understand that Buddy isn't a victim. He's had his faults. He's not a good defender. At times he shows that he's not a minus defender. Like, if he really puts his mind to it, he could be that guy, that he's not a negative on the floor. But yet again, a lot of times he is. So I think that's where a lot of fans gravitate towards and really hold him accountable towards that. But both Vince and I have always said, at worst, he's worth 18 mil, because other guys with his type of
gauge the market.
Yeah, like that's just what he is. So he got paid 23 because he's in Sacramento. And I go ahead. I know there's a lot to unravel there.
Well, I mean, for my biggest thing was you're right. There was a lot there. So at the top, you said that there wasn't any incentives for him in terms of individual. I mean, there was. I mean, there was that free throw. He had to stay at a certain percentage at the free throw line. That was an incentive for him.
But everything was like the biggest percentages was team based. Like, if they make the playoffs, like if this and that, like it was literally all team based.
I mean, because and then the whole bogey situation, and I think this is where it started becoming very confusing, is because Buddy believed he was the starter of this team. Like, that was like a real thing. Like, they were gonna be that core three. That was gonna be it. And then it changed when Bogey was the ball handler, Buddy was the bench guy. Then they needed him to be the starter, and he started playing well as the starter, but defensive numbers became a huge thing that they were looking at more than anything else, which is, I mean, it is Buddy's biggest flaw. And then it moved him back to the bench. So that was a inconsistent thing. And then to be putting him out in trade rumors, saying that they would look and then nothing would actually happen, which I don't fully put the blame on the front office there, because they did have a deal in place for him to go somewhere where I think he would have flourished next to LeBron James.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just yeah, man, it was just. I mean, I understand Buddy's side of it. I mean, it was very confusing. It was. I mean, you traded away your franchise centerpiece for me. You traded away DeMarcus Cousins for me. That's basically what happened, right? And you guys were the front office was all about Buddy Hield, and and then to get that mixed message of you're good, but we're gonna make you be a bench in the primary moments of the fourth quarter, to you're a starter.
But again, let me speak on Let me speak on Buddy's behalf real quick with the whole him getting benched and not getting starter minutes. Then it was like, okay, he's like, well, I don't really care about starting no more, but if I'm getting 32 minutes plus every night and I'm playing in crunch time, that's what I care about. So when both things happen, coming off the bench and not playing in crunch time, and fans, I don't remember this, literally saying, you got the 3-point champion, and you need a 3-pointer, or You need free throws because his team has never been able to shoot free throws. Those are the moments where you break all the trust that there ever was for a guy like Buddy Hield. Again, one message, coach telling him you're one of the best players. The other one, actions speak louder than words, and it's benching him. That just did not sit well with Buddy Hield. It wasn't about starting, bro. It was really about, am I a crucial piece of this team? Are you going to play me a lot more? The crazy part is the following season, not this season, but last season, Buddy Hield led the Kings in minutes. So, but there's a twofold to that. He led the team in minutes, but his role was literally to sit in the corner. Like, that's what people don't understand is that Luke would get mad if he took mid-range jump shots, which is why you didn't see many. And even today, Kate and Mark are like, oh, my God, he took a mid-range shot. Oh, my God. That is what his role is. And I always talk about role optimization. Certain guys can do certain things, believe it or not. You are not allowed to do. Like, if you do and you make it, sure. But, again, when they tell you to spread the floor out for De'Aaron Fox and stay in the corner, that really messes up your whole mental as a basketball player because now you're restricted on doing certain things. And this has never really come out publicly. But this is part of the issue with people not knowing the full story on how Buddy has been utilized in his Luke Walton era. The way he was utilized under Dave Yeager, which was his best season, right?
Yeah, I mean, they run a lot of horns. So, I mean, he gets a lot of screens and gets to come off a lot of pin downs in Yeager's offense, where this one it's run and gun. It was a very one-dimensional. Now, I think the ball definitely moves a lot better with Tyrese and the ball in Tyrese's hands. But, I mean, you have two major trade pieces now, though, I think, heading into this trade deadline, coming into February and coming into the new year where, Fox is going to be on the line, which is someone that they're talking about with leadership situations.
Right.
And, I've been the one telling you for a while now that I've never truly believed that Fox was the guy that would take you to the next level, but he would be a solid number two. And I still fully believe that. I think Fox can be a solid number two on any good
team. At worst, to me, he's a number two, though. Let's not get things twisted. He's pretty damn good. But, to be a Batman, that's a very special player.
I'll even say this too, and I don't know if you're catching the lag, but I'm getting a little bit of lag here. But I mean, I kind of feel like, how do I say it? I just kind of feel like we're going to a spot now where people are looking only at the bad of this team for what's happening, but at the same time, it's moving. The Kings just got to win, and they're still right there. Stop it. No.
Okay. So, no, I agree with you. 1,000, and that's my whole point, that I didn't feel the need of posting this specific post that, went viral on social media because I think it's a complete joke. Like, I was like, no, like, the Celtics would never do this. And in, like, no way, shape, or form, you're giving up Robert Williams and Marcus Smart. Like,
this is the dumbest trade we've ever posted on this show.
No, I know. This is a joke because I know people were asking me about this, and I was like, "You got to be serious." Like I'm not that dude that's gonna just give you false information, false hope. Like, I'm not gonna bullshit you around. That's not who I am. And which is why I didn't post. It's like, typically, like, I'll post something if it's like, I see the point of view from both teams, and then we'll start a conversation. And then Kings fans will always, oh no, that's just too much. Like, that's what Kings fans do. Like, that's what any fan base on their team, like, they'll always want more for their teams. That's normal. But this shit was so lopsided. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna post this damn trade because it just doesn't make any sense. And if this was the case, Kings would have to give up 3 first-round picks. Like, at least. It would be this plus 3 firsts. And then I'd be like, okay, that makes sense.
I still would say I don't know, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I know, but now it's like, okay, well, I'm thinking about
That's
it,
their
but
three best defenders on their team. I
right.
mean, maybe you could say Al Horford is arguably better than Robert Williams, but at his
No.
age, I think Robert
Yeah,
Williams
for
is
sure.
the better. Is You're literally taking away their entire defensive core right there. I mean, I think De'Aaron Fox would be solid next. I think he'd be solid. I think Buddy Hield would be a nice shooter, but I mean, we
You're
don't know
not
what Marvin
getting
Bagley would
nothing in
be.
Marvin Bagley. Like you're not getting anything in Marvin Bagley.
I mean, would he beat out Grant Williams right now for
No,
minutes?
no.
Like Grant Williams has played pretty well for Boston. I just don't see where this trade makes any. And not if you're getting Robert Williams and Marcus Smart. Like
Right.
I have a more. I mean, and
It
this is gonna shout out to my boy Jay and my boy Art. Shout out to you guys. But they brought up trades that they were like trying to go through in their head. Like, would you do this? Would you do that? Would you trade De'Aaron Fox for Kemba Walker and Julius Randle?
F no.
I'll consider it.
Okay, what's the next trade? Because that was garbage. Go ahead.
I mean, I'm not. I'm not. It was just that was
Kemba
just
Walker
one
is literally like
wash. It's. I mean, yeah. I mean, he'd be just a scoring guy off the bench. But this is like if the team
he
is
wasn't even
going into.
playing for like, and he was literally publicly sat down, like
He's a
inactive.
he's a walking bucket though, so you can do the whole Davion Mitchell, Kemba. I just think that the team has plenty of guards. That's why I say
He
Ben
can't
Simmons
shoot,
is.
bro. Like Kemba can't shoot no more.
You missed the days before Christmas because you are tripping if you think that man can't shoot. That man is a walking bucket wherever he wants to be.
Why was he
That
sat like? Why
Well, because
was he
his defense wasn't there. The Tom Thibodeau came out and said that it was for the betterment of the team
right?
that his defense wasn't there.
That's hella sad that
Right,
you
but
got put on the inactive list. Like not even on the bench, but on the inactive list, bro. Come on, stop.
but then let's think about it the other way now, though, right? So
He's only
Kemba
playing
would.
because of COVID.
I mean, he might. I think he's going to keep his role because now they're benching Alec Burks. But anyways, let's move on from the Kemba Walker part of it because I think the biggest part of the deal is Julius Randle, and Julius Randle next to Rashawn Holmes I feel like you would have basically what you already see in New York. And the reason why I would not consider doing this deal is I think De'Aaron Fox is younger. I still think he has more upside there as a
Better
point
player,
guard.
bro.
But B, I just feel like I don't know if I mean I think Julius Randle, Harrison Barnes,
Hold up.
Buddy
Thank you,
Hield, and
Vince. Thank you, Vince. You mean thank you, Leo? I don't think Seabass has ever given me any like. What do you? Go ahead, Vince. Go ahead.
I mean I'm just at the point now where I just wouldn't say that I wouldn't not consider Julius Randle as a star. It just depends on how good you view Haliburton and because if you don't have to give up Buddy Hield in that deal, it's just Fox for Kemba and Julius Randle. I mean, then your starting lineup is Tyrese, Buddy, Harrison Barnes, Julius Randle, and Rashawn Holmes. Is that better than what they have in New York? Because the biggest thing for me is
I'd rather
I
go
feel
get
like that's
Sabonis
New
then.
York's. I mean, obviously, but I don't think you can get Sabonis. I think Sabonis is going somewhere where they're going to get so much more than what the Kings could
If you
offer.
get De'Aaron Fox, you make that deal. If you're the Pacers,
They have Malcolm Brogdon, who they can't trade until next season, and they're not gonna. They're not, and I think Malcolm Brogdon's really good. I'm a huge fan of Malcolm Brogdon. But anyways,
that doesn't
long
mean
story
you don't
short,
trade him for De'Aaron Fox, though.
long story short is I don't believe that, or I do believe that if Julius Randle came here and this was their roster, it would be the exact Knicks team that we see now with like Evan Fournier and Alec Burks, right? Like that would be the team if Julius Randle came here in place of De'Aaron Fox. The difference is we don't have Tom Thibodeau as a coach in Sacramento.
Right.
And it would not work the same way it's working out there in
Right.
the East, in my opinion. So,
Well, could you make the playoffs in this terrible Western Conference? No, I just don't think Randall's a better player, regardless if he has a ceremonial All-Star appearance. Like, I don't think he's a better player than
dude,
De'Aaron Fox. Like,
he is nasty. I don't know what you're talking about, bro. Julius
I'm
Randle's
not saying.
nasty.
Okay, De'Aaron Fox is nasty too, though.
Yeah, but Julius Randle
You put
made
De'Aaron
it to
Fox
the
with a
playoffs.
comparable franchise with the real organization, and you will be talking differently about De'Aaron Fox. Unfortunately, he's stuck
I
in
feel like
this
De'Aaron Fox
in
is
this
really
real
good.
bad franchise.
I think De'Aaron Fox is really good. I think De'Aaron Fox is a really good player. You put De'Aaron Fox in place of John Morant. You think he's carrying that team to where they are right now? From the play that you've seen of him, do you think he's carrying that team like Jaw is right now? Because I feel
If
like that's the level that you view him as. He is a Jaw, where like for me, he's slightly under that. And I think Julius Randle, who has brought a team to a playoffs, you have to consider him slightly better right now as an overall player. And I'm not saying that De'Aaron Fox can't surpass him at some point. Like I said, I
I
think
mean,
De'Aaron
you
Fox
just said
could.
it. He had Tom
No,
Thibodeau. De'Aaron has never had a real good coach.
De'Aaron. I mean, I guess so. I mean, yeah, you can. He had Dave Yeager. They had a. I mean, they had a decent
I
team,
mean,
and I just feel like
and they
there's
blew. And then what happened? The franchise blew
in
it
the
up.
league in
How is
this
that
league.
De'Aaron's fault though?
I just feel
That's
like
my point.
in this league, you need. This is why I think
Julius
De'Aaron
isn't
Fox is a
better,
solid
bro.
number two. This is why
Julius
I
isn't
think
better than him.
this is why I think De'Aaron Fox is a solid number two. Is he is so good going like this straight. He doesn't have much else other than a
So is
step back.
Julius. So is
Julius
Julius.
Randle, but Julius Randle can turn his back to the basket and get you bucket posting.
But he can't go right.
Julius Randle can set you
But
a
he can't go
screen
right.
and then roll to the basket and get you something there.
But he
Julius
can't
Randle
go
can
right.
also do a 3-pointer when you need it. Julius Randle
He
Julius Randle gives you a
got
bucket,
exposed in the playoffs. It's real easy to guard him in the playoffs. Like
but
it's
he
not
gets
that
you to the
hard.
playoffs. He gets you to the playoffs.
He doesn't get to the playoffs. Like the whole team was like Tom Thibodeau gets to the playoffs. Like not
What about
him.
now? What about now
Tom
though?
Thibodeau gets to the playoffs.
Because this Knicks team is not that good. They're still going to get to the playoffs. They're still winning more games than the Kings.
Well, let's find out how many more games are winning than the Kings because they've been pretty disappointing, man.
They've been disappointed
Uh,
as of late, but they've been hit with COVID too. They had no Quickly, they had no
I
Mitrov,
mean,
they have no Nerlens.
they're 16 and 18 and they're 10th. Like that's not saying much.
They're 2 games out of 500, and
The
they're
Kings are in 11th.
2 games under 500. Man,
Yeah.
I just like I said, I think you're dying on the hill, and like I said, that's fine. I'm not saying that I don't believe De'Aaron Fox can surpass Julius Randle. I just think that
You
as
think
of right
he's a
now,
better player than De'Aaron Fox?
right now, yes.
You
Right
think
now,
all
yes.
30 GMs would take him if
No,
you're starting
see
a team?
see that's different. If I'm starting a team and I know that I'm going to have this player for the next 3 to 5 years, I'm gonna choose De'Aaron Fox, or I'm gonna choose De'Aaron Fox every single time.
Right.
Yeah, I think he has the potential to surpass him.
So
What
you're
I'm
saying to
is,
swap? You're saying to like swap players?
if you believe in Tyrese Haliburton, you can get Julius Randle, Kemba Walker, and probably a first-round pick for De'Aaron Fox. Like it's a possibility. It's a real legit possibility to have that. But you have to truly believe in Tyrese Haliburton. You have to hope that the relationship between Buddy Hield and the franchise will work. But what I'm saying is that
It's not gonna work.
De'Aaron Fox,
That's a
with
broken
De'Aaron Fox
bridge.
right now, with
That's a
De'Aaron
broken
Fox
bridge.
right now, with De'Aaron Fox right now,
Mhm.
it's at the point where either he is your guy and you have to just let it be known that he is the guy that you're still going to make sure that this franchise is built around, or it's time to start getting a bigger piece, because it seems like the Kings want to run fast, but they want to run fast while playing big. They don't have that big man that can do it.
Fox
And
takes the Lakers to the championship with LeBron and AD. No question about it.
oh yeah, no duh, bro. I mean, Darren Carlson looked good Darren Carlson looked good today, bro. I mean, anyone look at Malik Monk, bro. Look at Malik Monk.
Oh my god! And yes, Seabass, John Morant at the moment, yes, he's better. I have to admit it. He's better than De'Aaron Fox. Last
He's
year
just so
though,
creative.
last year it was like right there for me. Like if you swap both players onto both teams, I thought you would have seen the same result in terms of like them barely making the playoffs with the Warriors team that was decapitated pretty much.
I agree with Nick. Fox equals Randall. Like they're the exact same thing. They're the exact like maybe Randall as a complete player now. I just think Fox has a higher upside. But does Randall get you to that next level is what I'm asking you, because then you don't have so many
No.
guards and you have that next big. You have a more balanced team in that.
Do you trade Fox for Sabonis?
Dude, I'm huge on Sabonis, bro.
I'm just saying, do you trade him for Sabonis?
Yes.
Or
1000%, yeah.
are you trying to get Sabonis to play with De'Aaron Fox?
I would trade almost anything for Domantas. I think Domantas Sabonis is still underrated. I've been on the fan train.
No,
Yes,
I
I would
answer the
trade.
question. Do you want
Yes,
Fox and
yes,
Sabonis,
yes.
or do you want Tyrese and Sabonis?
I don't care. Whichever one. I want talent in Sacramento. He's the best player in
Which
that
one do
deal.
you
Yes.
prefer?
Which one do I prefer? I mean, I guess Fox. I think Fox. I mean, I don't know. I really like Tyrese's game. I think Tyrese has been finally starting to be a more balanced attack. It's just I think Fox is a more premier scorer. Like I just it depends on what this team is going to do because Sabonis is better at facilitating, so he can be a big. That's why I think I would rather choose Fox because then you can also run some offensive sets through Sabonis like they do in Indiana. So to have that look how good Karis LeVert's been now that Brogdon's been out. Like that combination of Sabonis and LeVert works, and then that would be an amazing combination. But the balance attack that Tyrese has been bringing,
I mean,
the
they're 14
speed.
and 20. Like, and the Pacers have a better roster, a better coach. Try to
They,
convince me why they're not winning games. Like, you can't be telling me that COVID.
they,
Like, no,
they,
like
no,
they've
no, no, no.
relatively been healthy this year for the first time in a long time.
No, they give up in the third and fourth quarter. I don't know what it
Is
is.
that coaching, or is that
I, I don't know.
or is that lack of leadership from Sabonis, their best player?
I think it's just lack of.
Is he a Robin? He might be.
I don't know. Sabonis is. I mean, being the nasty player doesn't mean you're necessarily a leader. But I think Tyrese wants to be the leader, and I think he showed glimpses of where he can really take this team, and they would follow him. I mean, look what they were doing without Fox, and they were able to win a few of those games without him. I think that's why these rumors now of like Fox sitting in the corner is like brewing even more, is because everyone got to see Haliburton as the guy, and they got to see some wins with him as the guy. But I mean, I watch a lot of Indiana games, man, and I think a lot of it just falls apart because they don't have too many. I mean, they have Chris Duarte, and at times they have Justin Holiday, and I don't really believe Justin Holiday is a knockdown shooter. Like no one put him in that same conversation as Danny Green. Please don't do that. But like they kind of lack the distance of shooting, so whenever anybody just runs a zone on them, they kind of become super one dimensional, and I think that's a big problem. So shooting
I
would
don't
have to
think
be around.
I don't think Sabonis with 18 points a night that won't get it done with the Kings. I'm sorry to tell you, like that would not get it done because that would mean Tyrese would have to average, which again he has been averaging 20 plus without Fox. But do you see that as being a sustainable thing? Because like you have to think about these things when you make these types of moves. Like who's gonna be my 20-point scorer? Like 25 a night type guy. Like that's what Fox is for the
I
most
think
part.
Sabonis is that though too. Like I think Sabonis is a walking 20 points a night, 18, 20 points a night, and has the chance to get you. He's
So
a
you're
walking
pretty
triple
much in the
double.
same. So you're telling me you're pretty much in the
He,
same boat with the Kings. Like you're not getting better because you're losing Fox, but you're adding Sabonis.
I mean, you asked me what I would prefer. I mean, like I said, I think I would prefer to have Fox just because I've seen how good LeVert looks next to Sabonis, and that could be such a winning combination. But I just feel like Tyrese is starting to show that he wants to be the leader of this team, and I feel like this whole narrative of there is no leader in Sacramento, we need someone with a voice, like that is just going to keep brewing. And so I mean, I don't know, man. That one's a tough one because I feel like Sabonis in Sacramento would be great. I think he would open up the door to a lot of things, to being able to. But it's also the offensive set. Like I feel like the Kings' offense, coaching style wise, is horrible. I'm tired of this
I don't
one
know,
play. It's
bro. It's
done.
not working out with a good coach. Like unless
But
he's
Rick
not a good
Carlisle,
coach anymore.
I'm no dude. I'm telling you, their problem is they lack shooting around them. Like every time they get into a fourth quarter, they'll be in a game. They'll be up. All a team has to do against the Pacers is run a 2-3 zone. That's all they have to do, and it shuts them down every single time. Close out on their 2-3 shooters, and that's it. And they try to make Sabonis a
Who
top of
is
the
their
key three.
shooter?
It's Duarte. That's it. And Justin Holiday. And Justin Holiday has been horrible this year. And now they've lost TJ McConnell, so now they have no real bench point guard. They lost McConnell for the year, and then Brogdon with his Achilles injury. I mean, it's been a rough road for him. I really believe that the coaching of this team has a huge factor in how they're representing themselves on the court as well. But and I feel like the narrative, a lot of it comes out of the players, but they're just trying to stick up and be a leader. Is they need to have a leader, like someone on the court that is being loud and more vocal than anything else. But this whole push the pace thing it's fine if you guys are moving the basketball, and the only time it moves is when Haliburton has the ball. But at the same time, no one else wants to do it.
Okay, so this is a good comment. I just worry that Fox doesn't elevate. I hate saying that because I love him. However, his second year, he shot 48% from the field. He has declined every single year, and last year was his career high. I understand what he's saying. Like, and I got love for Noah. I understand what he's saying. He watches Ja up and close. He's from Memphis, so I get it. I don't think Sabonis elevates anybody either. So if you make that move, I don't think
Are
you're
you willing to
getting
jump
better.
off any mountain though? Like, I mean, I know that sounds like a horrible sentence, but like, Leo, you're one of those guys that like when you make a statement, you make like a really bold statement, and you'll die with whatever you say next to it. Like you'll
No,
die on
like
that.
I
You
would
know what
trade
I
him
mean?
for
Like
Jalen Brown. I think if you get Jalen Brown, you get better.
because of position. Because I've heard you say before that you think him and Jalen Brown are like the same player, like the same level. Do you still believe Jalen Brown and him are on the same level of tier player?
Yes, but I think that Jalen Brown, from a positional standpoint, fits better with Tyrese Haliburton. Like if you're making that move, I'm making that move because Tatum and Fox, and then Brown and Tyrese would make a lot of sense. However you want to twist the picks, I think both guys and both organizations need to shake things up a little, and that's a type of move where they're like on the same tier type players, but it could be just enough to shake things enough to where both teams can get some life from
Are
this
we at
type
the?
of move.
Would you say that maybe, just maybe, De'Aaron Fox, if he doesn't start seeing some type of improvement in terms as a like jump shooter and as a more side to, I mean, his scoring is speed right now in that step back mid ranger. Like no one else is really worried about much else in terms of his drive. I mean, we finally got to see a dunk, and I can't believe that that was a post that we finally got to see Fox dunk. But maybe, just maybe, is he the Mike Conley comp that everyone said he might be?
It could be, but that's not a
And that's
bad
why
thing.
no, Mike Conley's a good player. He's a number two on the Jazz right now in terms of a ball handler and game and score. Like that's a really good player. But I think Jalen Brown surpasses Mike Conley as a player.
But they're not
100%.
winning though. But the Celtics aren't winning though, and they have Tatum and Brown.
Yeah, their offense is so weird with what they're doing. They're doing like a his turn, my turn type of
Right,
thing, which I don't think works.
right. That's
But
that's
that
my
is
point. So like and when anyone wants to make the argument with against me, like, oh well, he's a tad
so
better, but
you're
I'm
saying
like, okay, he's
so
he
if there was a person on a winning team right now, that person would never be available. So we would never have a conversation about this person
correct.
being a trade.
So
So the
since
same thing
both
with
guys are,
so you think Ben Simmons is on the same? Do you still believe Ben Simmons and De'Aaron Fox are the same exact player?
no, this is the same exact player, but they're on the same tier for sure.
I mean, that's crazy to me because this guy in Ben Simmons doesn't need to take a 3-pointer. I've seen him score 40 points in a game. And I think the position matters, size matters, pause. You know what I mean? Like that's a huge factor in a game. You know what I mean? Like if only scoring in the mid-range or being able to find guys and get them open is such a huge thing, and being fast is such a huge thing. Ben Simmons is fast. Ben Simmons can guard 1 through 5. Ben Simmons can I've seen him score. We've all seen him score 40 points in a game without taking a single jump shot. De'Aaron Fox, when he had his career highs, he had 3-pointers in that game. Ben Simmons didn't. Like that's what I'm saying. Like if this is the best way I can describe it. You give De'Aaron Fox a jump shot, he's a really good basketball player. You give Ben Simmons a jump shot, he's LeBron James. Like that's a clear difference to me in terms of level of talent.
Was Joel Embiid on the court?
Yes, he was on the court. Just look it up. Just type in Ben Simmons 40-point game.
Right, right. That's my rebuttal to you.
Yes, he was.
The
He was on the court.
was
And
Tobias
Joel
Harris
Embiid,
was
and it
Tobias
was in
Harris on
four
the court?
quarters. Yes, and it was in 4 quarters. And he also not only did he
That's how
have
you
40 points.
score 30 plus without shooting the three, though. When you have that type of talent around you, De'Aaron Fox doesn't have the luxury to
Well, okay,
like do that.
look at the night where he scored 35, and all he had was Matisse Thybulle, Seth Curry, and Tobias Harris. Like that was it. Those were his
Right,
guys.
right.
He scored 35,
But you can
and they
count that on your
won.
fingers. I know, but that's my point. You can count those things on your finger. Like those cases, those situations, there aren't many. Again, I'm not saying you're wrong. Like I'm just saying,
No. I know you're not. I'm just
like I love Ben Simmons, but I'm trying to get Ben Simmons with De'Aaron Fox. But
I
then
think
people are like,
Fox is still at
well,
that tier. You got to trade that tier. If you believe he's on that tier, I would 100%. I've gotten to this point now where I'm all about it. Like I used to be like, I would consider it. No, bro, I'm about it because this is the best way I can present it. If you say they can do the same exact thing, that's what you said. I mean, Ben Simmons comes here, he does the same exact thing as De'Aaron Fox. Difference is size matters. And if we're just talking about pure talent as a player,
no,
they both need
I've
jump
never
shots.
said they do the exact same thing. They're different players. Like Ben Simmons, way better passer, way better rebounder, way better defender. Fox is better scorer, better in transition.
He's not better in transition
He's
than Ben Simmons.
He's a better mid-range shooter. He's a better three-point shooter by default.
But do you want him taking threes? Like
Yeah,
when you see De'Aaron Fox,
I do.
When you see De'Aaron Fox taking a three,
I don't think I just think he needs the right shooting coach. I've been saying that for a long time.
Like I said, if
his jumper isn't broken,
no, I don't think it's broken either. I just think that this is this is the only way I can.
Ben's is fucking broken.
That's fine. I mean the Ben Simmons shooting thing is where it's like I don't really mind because when I see Ben, I see a Draymond Green, I see a power forward that can be your point guard, which is fine. That's amazing. Look how great that Golden State
I just don't know, my only thing with you, bro, is just that I don't know how sustainable Tyrese is at scoring 20 a night. Like if he's doing this every night, I'll pull a trigger. Okay, let's do Fox or Simmons.
But that's the gamble you're taking because you're never gonna. You have to gamble something. Why would you gamble? I mean, this is the only time you're going to get this type of talent. Like, and this is why I'm saying Ben Simmons is that type of talent. Is if you give Ben Simmons a jump shot, he is LeBron James, like legit. Question. That's what I'm saying. That's a one of a kind talent. That's a legit unicorn that you'll never have in Sacramento unless you give up your best player. And the Kings' best player is De'Aaron Fox. And guess what? He helps out the team that's needing him. That the team that has Ben Simmons, they need a legit point guard, which is De'Aaron Fox, who could give them 18, 20 a night next to Tobias. I think De'Aaron Fox in Philly with that roster would legit become the number 2 to Joel Embiid. Like legit become the number 2 over Tobias Harris. And I love Tobias Harris. But I think Tobias Harris is a number 3, solid number 3.
For sure. He's not a number 2.
I mean, he can be right now. He has been, and look how good they're playing. But I'm just saying, I think De'Aaron Fox gets there.
What's their record? I mean, they're 18, 16. Like that's not good.
No, Tobias Harris is good, bro.
No. Really I said you said they're playing very well. I'm like they're okay.
They're average. They also just got hit with some COVID. You know what I mean?
Everybody getting hit with COVID though. It's just that's not an excuse.
Like with the Jazz, right? The Jazz hadn't got hit. Like I just listened to Brian Windhorst's podcast talking about the Utah Jazz, saying they had everyone vaccinated, so they weren't testing everyone each day. So they got to, and they're a really good team, so they probably would have got the wins anyways. But they got to get so many wins while these other teams were dealing with COVID. You know what I mean? So.
It's interesting though. It's interesting. You're right. Like we're at the point where either way, I'm talking about shaking things up with Jaylen Brown. Like to me, it was always I'm not gonna get rid of Fox unless I get Jaylen Brown in some type of a trade. But now it's like I might do it for Ben. I'm not doing it for Julius. I'm not doing it for Sabonis. But Ben is like creeping up into my if I'm getting rid of De'Aaron Fox type trades. Like he's creeping up because I'm seeing what Tyrese is doing, but I hate being a prisoner of the moment. And I've seen this story way too many times where you start to believe in the guy because when you lose 15 years, Kings fans, yes, I'm a Kings fan, and I'm guilty of it. We are prisoners of the moment, and we will latch on to any positive thing. And that's what a lot of people are saying. He is now the king of Sacramento. People don't like Fox no more. I'm not saying you saying that, but I see it all over Facebook,
So,
Instagram, Twitter. Like Tyrese is the guy. So if
but
that's the case, then you might have to pull the trigger. But again,
so
that's
you
why this organization is so bad because they live off of impulses.
so you're saying that because the reason why you're hesitant is because you don't know if Tyrese is sustainable. But I mean, like, if you have Ben Simmons and that's your new building piece for the next 4 years, you're not okay with saying maybe Tyrese does fall down to where I mean, you asked for him to take 9 3-pointers a game and he's doing it. He's hitting it at a decent clip. But then adding other shooters around, Ben Simmons, what does that do? You know what I mean? Like that's a whole. Now you have a different ballgame. Now you have a different scheme of a team. I'm just saying if he's just a Draymond
No, you
Green
don't, because you still have the exact same issue with this bad
with
coaching.
shooting, which is shooting.
No,
Well, I
no,
mean, yeah, I
with
get that.
bad coaching, like
I get
how
that
much
part.
do you, like how, and that's what people don't get. It's like how much better do you get? Seriously,
Yeah. I mean, the coaching is always going to be a
it's
huge issue.
scary.
That's why I really hope. But it's just, all I'm saying is this man is like after this past season with Ben, like I get that the shooting was horrible, but look at any other year with him, man. That dude was clamp city. That dude was
I'm not
getting you
arguing with you.
buckets. I mean,
I'm not arguing with you.
I just think talent in Sacramento is what's needed. And if Tyrese is this good, great. If he's not, fine. The Kings are going to be exactly where they are now. Hopefully they have a few picks. Hopefully they have some type of assets to where they can maybe make a Rashawn Holmes type of trade where you can get another type of guard. I mean, there's going to be a guy, and I know you're going to hate what I'm about to say right now. You're going to hate this. But let's say Tyrese falls off, right? But you traded away De'Aaron Fox.
And then De'Aaron Fox
Simmons.
Starts to ball out next to Joel Embiid. Go ahead.
No, I think that would happen regardless. But
Okay.
Ben Simmons is here. Now you need a point guard because Tyrese kind of fell back to normal.
Okay.
I mean, there's still a guy out there. There's going to be players out there that can be walking buckets for you if you're just looking for a bucket next to him. Maybe there's a Dennis Schroeder out there that's going to be on a 1 year. Maybe I'm just saying there's going to be guys out there that can get you a bucket. You know what I mean? Because I think Ben Simmons is a different type of centerpiece where I feel like it's so much easier to find shooters. You know what I mean? That's why I think Buddy Hield
it's hard as hell to find shooters.
No. But I mean, like, I get you because Terrence Davis. We'll talk. I mean, that's great. Just say that name and you get it. But what I'm saying is like there's ways to build around a passing big like a Ben Simmons who is a point guard. You know what I mean? Like he's a point guard. He's LeBron. Like it's crazy to me that people don't see how a Fox for Simmons deal at this juncture of time just makes the most sense. To me, it just makes the most sense. If you believe in whether you believe in Haliburton or not, it's time to shake things up. And if the leader thing is an issue, you might not get that in Ben Simmons.
You're not going to.
At least you'll have a guy in Haliburton that wants to. And maybe that's all they need. I mean, Haliburton
man, it's tough, bro. It's tough, right? Like we're hypothesizing all these what ifs. And none of this shit might even happen. Like that's the craziest part. Like we're spending all this time. We're an hour 7 in, and we're like, damn, like this might not even happen.
Sometimes we just need to sit on a couch. You know what I mean? Have a little therapy session. Get what's off our chest a little bit. You know what I mean? Maybe D'Anthony Melton. Maybe Shake Milton.
Desmond Bane. Like shout out to the Grizzlies for finding a guy like Desmond Bane who was becoming like a really, really, really good, like almost elite shooter.
Your boy Bass wants to call him, bro.
Nah, we're not taking that call in today, man. I'm not trying to argue
about. He
about.
said I would definitely trade Fox for Randall or Sabonis. Not definitely for Randall, but I would do it for. I would really consider it for Sabonis. But none of that beats a Ben Simmons. None of that beats a Jaylen Brown.
Maggie says go to sleep. Maggie says go to sleep. Happy wife, happy life. Oh man, we know all about that, man. But hey, man.
Shout out to the wife. Happy birthday yesterday, man.
Hey, happy birthday to Vince's wife. Man, time is flying, bro. Like, we got all these birthdays. Your birthday's coming up. We're getting older, which means we are blessed because we are alive and we get to keep on talking about these scrub-ass Kings. But it is what it is, man. Thank you guys for all the support. And I apologize for the inconsistencies from the post games, but let's be honest, it's been a really bad showing from the Kings as of late. So I don't think y'all have missed much.
It would have been this conversation 5 times,
Five
6 times.
What you guys should tune into though is the single day bets from Vince Miracle. I might have to join one of these days for sure. We gonna get those popping in terms of great production execution. So stay tuned for that. Right now, we just got to do things ASAP and have them on fleet to get you guys the information. But stay tuned for that. The CK squad, the Basketball Zone squad, will be having consistent content starting January 1st. So expect breakdown, like film sessions at X day on X time. So put that on your calendar. So we gonna get organized in 2022, man. And if we don't, then you come at me, man, and you talk shit, because that's what I deserve. But hey, man, on behalf of the entire Basketball Zone family, CK family, I thank you guys and thank all our sponsors as always. And we'll see you guys very, very soon. Peace.